What's going on, Mountain Community? It's your boy Ryan Webb back here with another video. Now today I am doing something I haven't done since my second video on this channel, and that is a thread video. I haven't done a thread since the Vinyl Guru's Black Albums Challenge, which was like back in early May, I think. So yeah, it's been a little while, and today's thread that I'm participating in is Chris Propfe, Musically Obsessed. He just is celebrating 1 year in the vinyl community, which, by the way, congrats, Chris. If you don't watch Chris Propfe, Musically Obsessed, you really need to subscribe to his channel. He's a great guy, really nice guy. He's been supportive of me as well as many others in the VC, some of us smaller YouTubers. So Chris, I just want to thank you personally for being so supportive of me and my channel. I don't have very many subscribers, but you've been just so supportive of me ever since the beginning, and I want to thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And Chris, if you don't watch Chris's channel, you really need to. He's a great guy, got great music taste. And like I said, he's celebrating his 1 year in the vinyl community, and he decided to do a little thread, and that thread is called Pick a Year and Pick Some Albums, in which what you do in the thread is you pick a year, and then you pick some albums. And so the year I decided to do was 1984, because I think we can all agree that 1984 was a great year for music. Even if you don't listen to that many 80s music, I bet you'll recognize quite a few of the artists and songs, maybe albums on here, because 1984 was just a huge year, I think, for music, and a lot of us can agree. And I know it's called Pick a Year and Pick Some Albums, but I went ahead and went with all of my albums from 1984 because I've got enough for one video. I don't have a giant amount, I've just got a pretty good amount. So without further ado, let's get into the albums. First up, we've got third album by Berlin, Love Life. I will admit I haven't heard this album in a while. I usually stick with their second album, Pleasure Victim, but this one's got the big song No More Words on here, which is a fantastic song, and I guess after this video I need to go and re-listen to this album. Next up, we've got Heartbeat City by the Cars, absolute classic album. This has got so many of their hits like Drive, Magic. What else is the other hit? Crap, it doesn't have any of the songs on here. I can't remember every hit on here, but yeah, it's got Drive and Magic on here. Next up, we've got Dio with The Last in Line. I love Dio. He's a great frontman. I really want to get Holy Diver because I really enjoy that album as well, but this one's also an incredible metal album. It's got We Rock, Last in Line, Breathless, One Night in the City, Evil Eyes. If you really like Ronnie James Dio, you really should have this album in your collection if you don't already. Next up, we've got one of my favorite albums of all time, Peter Gabriel's fourth album. In Europe, it's known as Peter Gabriel, but here in America, it's known as Security. I could go on and on about this album, but I'm going to save my opinions on this album for a future video, which hopefully will be out within the next month or two. Next up, we've got the Red Rockers, Sammy Hagar with his album VOA. This one's got probably his biggest hit, I Can't Drive 55. That's usually the song of his that I hear on the radio the most, outside of his Van Halen stuff. But this has also got a lot of great songs on it, like Rock Is in My Blood, Two Sides of Love, Burning Down the City. Really good album. Next up, we've got some of the kings of 80s music, and that is Hall & Oates with their album Big Bam Boom. Now, Hall & Oates, I will admit, they're definitely more of a singles band than they are an albums band, but they did actually release a few really good albums throughout the late 70s and the 80s, and this is definitely one of those really good albums. You should check this out if you really like Hall & Oates. Next up, we've got another one of my favorite albums of all time, I Can Dream About You by Dan Hartman. Fantastic record. You've probably at least heard the big hit, I Can Dream About You. And much like Peter Gabriel's album, this is an album I could go on for forever, but I'm going to save for a video that will hopefully be coming out soon. Here we have In Excess with The Swing. This one's got the big hit Original Sin on it, but it's also got some other really good songs on here like Face the Change and Burn For You, I Send a Message. This definitely isn't as good as their albums like Kick and Listen Like Thieves, but it still is a pretty good listen. Next up, we've got my personal favorite Kiss record, Animalize. This one's just a badass, all killer, no filler glam metal album. It's just a rock album that is in your face and demands your attention with every song. I love this album a lot. Here we have Julian Lennon with, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Velat, Velate. I've never been sure how it's pronounced, but this is probably his biggest record. It's got his big hits with Velat, however it is, and then Too Late for Goodbyes, and it's also got some really good deep cuts like Okay for You and Well I Don't Know. This is a really good listen. Now we've got something that I'm sure we all know, everyone knows about, even if you're not a big fan of 80s. Madonna with Like a Virgin. So it's probably her biggest and most iconic album. I mean, it's got, of course, Material Girl, Like a Virgin. Those are the two big hits off here, and probably the biggest hits of her career, we can all agree. And next up, we've got the one album on this list that's kind of a stinker of an album, in my opinion, and that is Paul McCartney's Give My Regards to Broad Street. It was the soundtrack to his film, Give My Regards to Broad Street. And the reason why I say it's kind of a stinker album is because, well, it's not that good in my opinion, and I know a lot of Paul McCartney fans will probably agree that this is not one of his best albums. Like, it's got the song No More Lonely Nights, which is pretty good, but that one's really about it. It's got him redoing a bunch of his old songs from like the Beatles and Wings, and they're not that good in my opinion. They don't leave much of an impression. Nobody asked for those redos, so he should have just not done that at all. Should have just came up with some original songs. But anyways, on to the next album. We've got Metallica. I'm not as big of a fan of Metallica as I used to be, but this one's probably my favorite record of theirs. It's really good. I love For Whom the Bell Tolls. Now, next up, we've got an album from my favorite artist of all time, but even if he wasn't my favorite artist, it would still be in this video because it's iconic. It's one of the best-selling albums of all time. That is Purple Rain by Prince and the Revolution. Everyone knows the songs Let's Go Crazy, When Doves Cry, I Would Die For You, Baby I'm a Star, and Purple Rain. This is just iconic, great album from '84. And speaking of iconic best-selling albums of all time, we've got Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. Great album. It's got all of his hits like Born in the USA, Glory Days, Dancing in the Dark. It's a really good album. And now if you're going to have Prince Purple Rain, of course you got to have The Time with Ice Cream Castle. This has, of course, their songs from Purple Rain, Jungle Love, and The Bird. Then it's also got some other really good songs on here, like Ice Cream Castles. And then there's this really weird, goofy song called Chili Sauce. It's kind of not really something to be taken seriously. It's really funny, in my opinion. I love it. Next up, we've got the mighty Van Halen with their album from 1984 called 1984. This one is probably their biggest, either this one or the debut, because this one's got Jump, Panama, and Hot for Teacher on it. Classic killer album. Next up, we've got the first album by Roger Waters after he left Pink Floyd, The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking. This is a very good album. It's like another concept record, just like every album he has done since The Dark Side of the Moon. If you're a Pink Floyd fan, you need to make sure to get that album. Next up, we have Wham with Make It Big. I'm a big Wham fan, so of course I had to feature this album on here. It's got Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, Everything She Wants, Freedom, Careless Whisper, just a cheesy pop album, but it's so amazing and it's cheese in my opinion. You just can't listen to this album and not have a good time. And finally, we've got a soundtrack. We got Footloose. Of course, everyone knows the songs Footloose and Holding Out for a Hero, but I also really love the love theme, Almost Paradise, and the other Kenny Loggins song on this album, I'm Free, Heaven Helps the Man. I honestly prefer I'm Free over Footloose. It's a really good song. This is a really good soundtrack to a pretty good film. Yeah, those are all my records from 1984, with the exception of Paul McCartney's Give My Regards to Broad Street. I'd say that's a pretty great lineup of records, great year for music. And once again, Chris, congrats on 1 year in the VC. Here's to many more years after this. And I will see the rest of you guys in the next video. Take care, everyone.